Hey, gorgeous souls, and welcome to the Neo Self-Care Podcast, where we're spilling the tea on self-love, empowerment, and all things fabulous for our fabulous ladies out there. I'm your host, Vashti Maya, here to sprinkle some glitter on your self-care journey. So whether you're a boss bitch, a go-getter, a mom who's killing it, or just a girl who's vibing with life, this podcast is your weekly dose of empowerment served with a side of sass and a sprinkle of sparkle. Ladies, we're not just about self-care. We're about self-elevation, always reminding you that it's okay to be extra, and it's what makes you uniquely you. So grab your favorite drink, kick back, and let's dive into the world of unapologetic self-love. Tune in every week for a dose of fabulousness, because guess what, lovely? You're worth it. And this is Neo Self-Care, where being yourself is the ultimate act of self-love. Stay fabulous, stay fierce, and always remember to love yourself, because you, my love, are absolutely fabulous. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Neo Self-Care. I know today we are a little late. We normally put episodes out on Tuesday, but we're going ahead and just flip it to Thursday today. I've had a lot going on, which is not an excuse because we do not make excuses. So I wanted to make sure I still put an episode out. That's why it is airing today, which is Tuesday, December 7th. All right, y'all. So today's episode is going to be all about the art of not settling. Okay, this has been something that I have found not only for my personal life necessary, but especially those of you guys who are coming from TikTok doing the readings and stuff, you guys know that has been a theme that has been so consistent for the past 6 months or so. But I mean, is it really ever not consistent when you think about it? Is it really never not consistent? That's something that continuously needs to be talked about, in my opinion. So that's what we're going to get into today. Why you shouldn't settle, how do you not settle, what happens if you do settle, and everything of that nature. Okay, so make sure that you guys have your coffee, your tea, your water. Make sure you're focused if you're driving, or just chilling if you're relaxing at home or at work, and let's just dive right into it. So as I mentioned, settling, I like to kind of put my life on the table for you guys, because how am I going to tell you guys what to do or try to give you guys insight, and you guys have no insight into my life? And I just feel like that fair exchange is not robbery, right? Someone told me that. I was like, that makes sense. We're gonna stick with it. So settling. I have settled a lot in my life. Let's just call it what it is. I know I'm not the only one. That's totally fine. Whatever. At the end of the day, I am a victim of settling. I wouldn't even say victim. I was a chooser of settling, because when you choose to settle, you're making a choice. That's not a victim mindset. That's not a victim, scenario. That is you actively making a choice. And for me, yes, I was one of those people who chose to settle. When talking about settling, it's not only for me anyways, when I'm talking about it, it's not just settling for a relationship. It's not just a lot of people be like, oh yeah, well, don't settle, find somebody that makes you happy, da da da. And while that's okay too, right? Because especially somebody that you're choosing to spend the rest of your life with, or somebody who you're choosing to, invest your time into, it is important for you not to settle. But I mean, we'll get into that later. But I'm talking about with things in life. Don't settle with just having a basic job. Don't settle with the type of friends you have. Don't settle with the way that you allow people to treat you. Don't settle with the way you allow yourself to treat yourself. So there's a lot of things that go into settling, right? You really want something, they don't have any more on the shelf, so you're like, okay, well, I'll get this one instead. Find another location that has it, or go online and get it. Get whatever it is that you're searching for. Do not settle, right? So it can really be given in a whole bunch of different aspects, especially if you have kids. So let's say that you really want your child to go to this school, this daycare or something, and maybe they're okay, well, we don't have openings into X date or whatever. you can go get something temporarily, but put your name on that wait list, okay? Because if you feel like I really want my kids to go to this particular daycare, or I really want, this particular thing, it's worth it. Even if you have to find a temporary replacement, don't let go of that original thing that you wanted. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I talk about settling. So for me, like, I have settled a lot in my life. It's no like surprise to you guys, like some things I've been through in my life, and understanding why I do things or have done things, because I don't do it anymore, but why I have done things the way that I have done them, just for the psychological aspect of it, that's just, it's very normal. But the thing is, I had to kind of unlearn the norm, you know what I mean? But I have settled with relationships. Like, I know everyone wants to talk about that, so let's get into relationships for a second and then we'll branch off. But being in a relationship, I have settled a lot for people. Like, I will say, like, starting off when I was younger, right? Like, the way I grew up with, when I did go back home, I grew up, like, with two parents in a household. Although my stepdad obviously wasn't my biological father, there were still two parents in the household. Now, I know some people have this idea that if you have two parents in the household, oh, everything's fine, you're great. Not true. But I say that to say, like, my parents, like, they gave the necessities, for like the food, clothing, shelter-ish, you know what I mean? But like, I don't really recall growing up and like my mom talking to me about like guys and what to look out for and things like that, or like my stepdad like talking to me about guys and what to look out for. I believe the first time my mom started talking about like a guy was when I went through a relationship and I was all like sad and everything. And then she was just like, oh, it's okay, like, basically, don't get your feelings hurt for some band, right? Broke ass nigga. Like, that's the way she shout out to her. But no, I'm just saying, like, that was like the first time ever that she really kind of gave me a relationship advice. And then from there, she was just like, okay, well, you gotta do what you need to do to attract the right person. But I was like in my early 20s at that point, you know what I mean? I was like in my early 20s, already like made the mistakes, and like, I didn't really get that foundational like information, and so like I had to kind of trial and error things in my life. And although I knew how I wanted somebody to treat me, although I knew the type of relationship that I desired, like deep down inside, like I knew I wanted somebody that was in control of their emotions. At the time, I did not realize that was called emotional intelligence, but I wanted somebody that was in charge of their emotions, somebody that wasn't just gonna like lash out, knew how to communicate, took their feelings into consideration as well as my feelings into consideration, and did not want to run away from, any type of compromise, or even just like if there's no compromisation, at least just hearing each other out. I knew I wanted that. I knew my love language is gifts and quality time. And so I knew I wanted someone that could provide that, because that's what I'm willing to provide, you know what I mean? And I knew I wanted somebody who had a job. I mean, hey, it is what it is, but that's what I wanted, that's what I desired. Just a short list, and I would date the opposite. It is like, if you know what you want, why are you going for the opposite? And I feel like that psychologically, especially when I was younger, there was a lot of like lack of love, self-love for me. Again, which makes sense because my, the psychological things that happened through my childhood. But at the end of the day, it's not an excuse, right? But yeah, I would just settle, because it was like, oh, the first person that kind of liked me, I was like, oh my gosh, like, they like me. And I think that like when you grow up, and you end up having like adult abandonment issues, you kind of just grab onto the first thing that you see that you think really wants you, or the first person that gives you some type of attention, because you're not used to receiving that as a child. So as an adult, it's just like, oh, is this love? Like, do they love me? Oh, they said they love me? Okay, like, let's stay here because we were never given this, so let's be right here. And all the other things on the list kind of went out the window. And just settling. I've had people that had no jobs. I've had people that like had no car, had no vehicle. And I know times are hard out here, but like I said, I'm talking when I was younger, and it was like I had to be in multiple places. Like the expectation they had for me was ridiculous because they didn't have shit. Just call it what it is. Going back and looking at it, I had people who were just like, narcissism is real, okay? And I've dated a lot of people that were like that. Really all my relationships I've been in had that type of person. It is what it is though, but like a lot of settling. It was a lot of settling for things I knew that I didn't really want, but felt like, well, this is all I could get. Do you not hear the issue with that? Like, I don't really want this, but I feel like this is all I could get, so I'm gonna settle for it. So it's like a tremendous self-worth and self-love issue that I personally had to work on, because I was just like, why do we keep doing this? We know this is not what we want. We know it. But yet here we are again. Why are we here? And so I had to like kind of stop and question myself and be like what is wrong with you? What is wrong with us? Not in a place of like, bitch, you crazy, but like in the place of love. Like, what's going on? Why is it that you say you want this, but you settle for that? Do you not believe truly that you're worth having anything more? Are you listening to too many things telling you how you cannot have anything more? Because really at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. We live in a world where you literally can create your own reality. We all know that at this point. So someone can say, oh, you got 8 kids. You better settle for what you can get. Meanwhile, people who got 8 kids are marrying 6-7 figure men or women, whatever, and are thriving in happiness because they decided, you must be talking about somebody else because you ain't talking about me. And I'm going to go get whatever it is that I need to get. Do you know what I mean? So they have that self-worth up. And so what I'm saying is, like, when it comes to settling, you got to ask yourself why you settle. Why do you settle for the type of women or the type of men that you settle for? Why do you do it? What is it that you're looking to get out of something that you don't really desire? Is it just a partnership? Are you lonely? You got to really look deep inside, because nothing changes, right? History will continue to repeat itself until you figure out where you went wrong. I say that because some people will date someone who's always cheating on them, and then you get out of that relationship and get another relationship and this person's always cheating on them. You get out of this relationship, go to another relationship, this other person's always cheating on them. It's repetitive, and it will continue to be repetitive until you decide, no mas, we ain't doing this no more. It's repetitive until you decide, right, to decide differently, because you're deciding to settle. But if you decide, it's not to settle. If you decide to, not settle, and I guess if you want to call it settle for what it is that you actually desire, you break that cycle. And I'm going to tell you now, the minute that you feel like, you know what, V, you're right. I'm not going to settle. I know what type of man I want. I know what type of woman I want. I know what type of person I want. I am not going to settle anymore. The minute that you decide that, as you should, please know your spirit team is going to come out here and be like, oh, okay, well, let me send you this fine specimen your way. And they're going to have some of the same attributes that you do not desire, and they're going to see what you do with it. And they're going to make them attractive too, because if they were not attractive, they know that you would not give them the time of day. But they're going to make them so attractive, and they're going to have like a little bit of what you desire and a whole lot of it of what you do not desire. Best believe it, because they're going to say, if you serious, let me see. How long is it going to, if you do take the bait, how long is it going to take you until you get out of that? Are you going to go in a continuous cycle, or are you going to take the bait, kind of fill it out a little bit, kind of go to that, that mindset where you're going back and forth, like, okay, should I, because I'm starting to see certain things, should I, like, is this my intuition, or is this me just tripping? And you kind of like fill it out and then you leave it alone, or do you kind of fill it out and then be like, well, you know what, maybe I am wrong, let me just deal with this person. And now you put yourself in a whole nother cycle again. They're going to try it out, they're going to test you out. That's what it's about. They're going to do it. So know that's coming. But I am a strong believer that after you pass the test in a timely manner, right? It's not like 2 years later, you're like, okay, I'm going to leave, I'm going to do it. No. If you pass the test in a timely manner and start showing that you're showing up for yourself, I'm a strong and firm believer that they're going to send the right person to you, right? Me personally, I say spirit team, but spirit team can be God to people, it could be universe, it could be your ancestors. It is what it is. However you resonate with it, because we respect all people. But yeah, that was just a side note. But like settling, like don't do it. It's just like, don't do it. Have this sense of understanding of your worth, right? So know who you are. Know why you are. Know why you are. So it's just not about like saying, okay, well, I deserve this. Why do you deserve it? People get stuck there thinking it's like a huge dissertation response, and it's not. Why do you want to be with somebody who treats you good? It's as easy as because I deserve it. That's it. Why do you want the things you ask for? Because I deserve it. Period, right? But that's you understanding who you are, your self-concept, your self-worth, and deciding that because you are worth these things, because you desire these things, you should have these things. I mean, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Excuse me. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you really gotta not settle. You gotta not settle at all, okay? Now, this is going to be the same, like I said, it comes to like friendships, when it comes to, jobs for some people. They just stay where they're at. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody working any type of job. Like, I want to put that out there now. Like, if you are happy with what you're doing, do what you do. There are people working at grocery stores who love it. They love working at grocery stores. They do. They love the interaction with people. They love knowing that they are essential, because they are essential. We talk about essential workers as, the medical providers, security providers, things like that, right? I say security, I mean like police officers, EMT, firefighter, you know what I mean? Like all those people. But grocery store workers are essential too, because like if they were not there, how are you gonna eat? Most of us are not farming our own food. Grocery workers are essential. Don't get twisted, okay? So I'm just saying, like, there are people who are loving that. They love that they're providing for people in their nature. They're loving that they work somewhere where everyone needs, right? They love that. And so when I'm talking, I'm not knocking nobody's job, because people really do enjoy what they do, as you should. And I'm a firm believer of saying, like, if you're working, you should love what you do. You really should. If you don't love what you do, there's an issue somewhere. I'm not telling you to leave your job, but I'm saying there's an issue somewhere. So I'm talking to people who know, like, I'm working at this certain spot, but I just settled to be here. Why are you not looking somewhere else for something better? Half the time, people don't really know what they want, and so they end up settling for what they get. So this is why knowing what you desire, knowing what's important for you, knowing what you want, this is why it is so important. Because when you don't know, when you have no idea what it is that you desire, then you will just be stuck with what you get, thinking that that's the only thing that you need. That's the only thing the only thing you can receive. That's the only thing that's possible for you. But it's not. You just have to know, right? It's kind of like when someone's like, okay, I'm going to practice manifestation. What are you going to manifest? I don't know. Well, then how are you going to know if it works? How are you going to know if it worked if you don't even know what it is you're looking for, right? You know what I mean? Y'all know what I mean. And so, like, a part of not settling is, like we talked about, having that self-worth, having that self-concept, that idea, the self-realization, to know that, you do desire, you are worth the things that it is that you desire, right? Knowing that. But also, the way that you don't settle is to know what it is you want. What do you want? Take it back to the notebook. What do you want? Some of you guys really are like, it's not that simple. It is that simple. Like, you just have to know. Start with a piece of paper and just write down things you want. Because it's going to go to basic stuff like, some of you guys, if you're a Taurus, I'm a Taurus. I always talk about food. But like, some of you guys, you're a Taurus, you be like, I want some food. I want some lamb, some fish, something, you know what I mean? It may start basic like that, and then it may go into something more complex, like I want a life of freedom, right? And then you got to start breaking that down. What does a life of freedom even mean? What does that look like? It means that I work at a job that I enjoy, making money that feels good to me, and money that feels good to me is between $80,000 to $120,000. Because I think a lot of people jump on like the millionaire train, which is amazing because dream motherfucking big. But at the same time, I think a lot of people don't want to be millionaires. They want to be comfortable. They want to be able to travel when they want to travel, to pay for what they want to pay for, and to have a good life. And you don't need $1 million to do that, right? So don't let somebody else's dream become your dream. Really ask yourself, like, what does it look like? Write it out. Get clear about what you desire. Because again, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Same thing. If you fail to plan, you end up settling. That's just what it is. But what you get what you get. Y'all heard that term before? You get what you get. Not me. I get what I want. I always get what it is I desire. And maybe you got to start saying that too. People be like, oh yeah, we can't do this. Look, I was at work, right? And somebody was like, oh, this doesn't really, what job was I at? I forget. But they were like, oh, that, new people, because I was very new to the job. They're like, oh, new people don't really do that. And I was like, oh, okay. In my mind, I'm like you. That does not apply to me. It does not apply to me because I always get what I desire as long as it's like with good intentions and, and guess what? It happened. Now, granted, people are going to start looking at you sideways when you start getting what it is that you want and getting what it is that you desire. And it ends up being like they don't receive it. But it's like, I mean, this is a whole nother conversation, but it's like, instead of them getting jealous or getting upset, they got to be like, yo, like, how'd you do that? And you're like, oh, I just decided this is what I wanted, so I got it. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, it's not a you get what you get thing, especially in a day and age of, and I'm not going to touch on this heavily because this is not what my platform is about, but especially in a day of age where there's a lot of like content out there, specifically towards women, that's like, hey, if you're a single mom or you have kids or you got this, please know that you're completely out of the running for somebody who is proficient, for lack of a better term. And a lot of women believe that, but please know, like, they can speak, they can say whatever it is, but it is what you believe to be true. It is what you believe is possible for your life, and hold on to it. The subtle art of not giving a fuck, which was our last episode, right? That was our last week's episode. Like, you just gotta have this understanding that you get what you desire, period. And really hold on to that and not settle for anything less than that. Same thing with friendships. If you want a friendship circle that's like, men, women, I feel like that 99.9% of my listeners are women. That's why I always talk to my women. Plus, I'm a woman, so I can relate to women. I can't really relate to men. But, if you're like a woman, you're like, what? I want to be surrounded by women who are about their business. I want to be around women who are college educated, who actually have like, they have goals. They know what they want in their life. They have a 5-year plan laid out. They have a 10-year plan laid out. They're not real boring. We can still go out for drinks and stuff, but they carry themselves a different type of way. You know what I mean? If you want those type of people, why are you settling for women who are not like that? And now I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a woman like that. This is just an example. But like, why are you settling for that? Because then a part of you is like, like, friendships matter. That's all I'm gonna say. Friendships matter. Please know. I got a couple of ratchet friends, y'all. I really do. And I love my ratchet friends. I do. But I also have my other circle that is important to me because they're the type of women that I value. And they're the type of women that I continuously aspire to be like, because I am a firm believer that if you have 9 friends that are a certain way, you're going to be the 10th person because you are a product of your environment. That's just a natural law, right? So although, like I said, I love my ratchet friends and I will not trade them for anything in the world, I am around other people more. I am. It's just about finding balance, right? So don't settle for friendships. Don't settle for jobs. Don't settle for relationships. Don't settle for the way someone talks to you. That's kind of goes into like boundaries a little bit, right? But we don't settle for the way that people talk to us. You let somebody know the first time, because, you know, when you first meet somebody or you get to know somebody, whether this is family, friends, or anything in between, maybe they don't know this new version of you that does not tolerate disrespect, does not tolerate, you know, whatever it is that you used to tolerate. And so you gotta be like, oh, I got it. They don't know the new me. You gotta let them know, like, I'm not really a fan of you speaking to me like this. So we can continue this conversation. But if you continue to speak to me in this manner, I'm not gonna really want to talk to you, and I'll probably hang up the phone. Because I'm not settling for nobody disrespecting me. If I'm not disrespecting you, you don't disrespect me. If I'm disrespecting you, I have no right to tell you not to disrespect me, because I am giving and you are going right off that energy. But if I'm being respectful to you and I'm not calling you out your name and I'm not doing anything of that nature and I'm actively listening when you're speaking, I desire the same in return. And if you can't provide that to me, I'm not going to settle for the way that you treat me, because I know what I want. I know what I desire. I know what I will and will not settle for. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, settling can be it could be used in so many different aspects, it's like a broad topic. It's a broad conversation. You know what I mean? But it's really just choosing what you desire over just settling for what you get. And then it's like having patience for it, because like, I know we've all seen or should have seen like the little picture where it's like this guy is mining on the little video. He's like mining with like the pickaxe, right? And it's like, you could tell that he came so far digging, and like the diamonds are right behind like that last pick, but then he gives up and he's like, bump this, like I'm never gonna find it. Meanwhile, at the top of it, you see like this guy so eagerly going to it. You know, he's so eagerly going pickaxing through, and he's about to get all the work and all the diamonds and stuff that the other dude worked for. Do you know what I mean? If you've never seen that video, you're probably like, what you talking about? But I'm saying all that to say, like, people are so quick to give up on something, and then they go and settle for it. Oh, it's taking too long. This job offer's not ever gonna come. I can't find the right job. I'm gonna just give up and go work wherever. Oh, I'm never gonna find the type of partner I desire. I might as well just settle for this offer, because at least it's an offer coming to me. Like, what? No. You gotta have patience. You gotta look at it from a different perspective, right? Because it's kind of like I have to versus I get to. My sister told me that one time. And it kind of stuck with me. She was just, I think it was like maybe like 4 years ago, and she was like, you know, look at, we were talking about like the gym and stuff. She was like, even the gym, like, look at things from a different perspective, be grateful for everything, right? And she was just like, so I went saying, oh, I have to go to the gym. So I get to go to the gym. Make it a privilege, because it's a privilege. It is. Like, some people don't get to do that. They can't. Some people are just literally like vegetables and they can't do anything, right? But you get to do that. So it's like, stay patient and just be like, I get what I desire, and I'm so grateful and I'm so happy that while, you know, God, while the universe, while spirit teams are like working to get that in order for me, I get to work on myself in this time. I get to secure myself in this time. I get to be who it is that I desire to be. I get to raise myself to the frequency and the high vibration of whatever it is that I'm looking to attract. I get to do this while I'm waiting. Isn't this amazing? Like, isn't it amazing that you get to work on yourself to make sure that you're where exactly you need to be in order to receive what it is that you know is coming towards you? I just got too excited. I don't know why I just got excited. But I'm just saying, like, isn't that better than saying, like, oh, I keep meeting the wrong people? Oh my God. Like, why is this taking so long? Like, fuck, I just want... Let me just talk to this dude. Like, you know what I mean? Isn't that better than just like doing all that? Like, but saying like, man, I know my guy is coming. I know my person is coming. I'm so excited. Let me go ahead and get my body right, my mind right, my everything right, because like I know when they're gonna see me and they're gonna be like, yep, that's her, and I'm gonna be like, yep, that's him or them, and I'm just gonna do whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes you feel better when you kind of like look at things from that perspective, and it helps you to not settle. It helps you to not just settle. So it's about like not being impatient with it. Don't be impatient. Never be impatient. Impatience, it will like cheat you out of everything, to be real. It will cheat you out of everything. So don't do that. Don't be impatient, okay? That's a big thing. Anything else about settling that I want to get into? Don't do it. I think we talked about that like 5 times. Like, just don't settle. And if you feel like that you are going to settle, start asking yourself questions. Why are we settling for this? Do we know that this is what we don't want? Yes, we do know this is what we don't want. Cool. So why are we settling for it? If we know that this is what we do not desire, why are we settling? And you got to really start talking to yourself like that. You really got to start asking yourself those questions, because it's not until you start asking yourself those questions that things actually start to change, because now you're questioning yourself. Now you're not just on autopilot going to do the things that are normal, but now you're kind of like throwing like some spikes out there to kind of bust your tire a little bit, slow you down. And it's just like, look at what's happening here. Take a step back, look at the big picture. Why are we doing these things? What is causing us to go down this path? What is the reason? What are we not getting? What are we getting? Right? Like, so being able to step back and ask yourself these questions are just as equally important. So if you find yourself shifting down that path, make sure that you purposely or intentionally pull yourself to the side and say, what is this? Because I'm telling you, there's something about you talking to yourself that, like, you know that maybe other people can't see it, but it's something about you knowing and calling yourself on your own bullshit that kind of gets you to slow down a little bit. I'm just saying, maybe it's just me, but I think that, like, when you call yourself on your own bullshit, like, I'm just saying, it's like, it's different, because you're like, oh, I'm not invisible. You can see me doing that. I don't know. Do y'all get what I'm saying? I hope you get what I'm saying, but I'm just like, but I'm saying, like, there's something about you calling yourself on your own bullshit that is like, okay, I'm being watched, even though you're always being watched, you know, because it's always you. It's me, myself, and I, the 3 of us, we live together, right? Like, so even though that's always like the norm, you're always within yourself, when you are talking to yourself, it's like, okay, you kind of move different. And there may be a little sense of like shame or embarrassment too, because you're like, wait, so you've been watching me the whole time. You've been seeing me in my foolishness the whole time, you know? But I'm just saying, like, sometimes you gotta just like call yourself out loud. Maybe in the room by yourself. Maybe when you're by yourself. Maybe not in front of a whole bunch of people. But definitely, you know, like, call yourself out. Because when you call yourself out, then you actually start to think. You pull it all out on the table and you're just like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Is this what you really want to do? Is this what we really want to do? Is this what's really going to make us feel good? Or is this just a temporary high? Which one is it? And then when you decide which one it is, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to continue down this path even though we know where it's going to lead? Or are we going to go ahead and do something differently because we know what it is that we want? We know what it is that we desire. Which one? What are we going to do? So then you take that, excuse me, you take that and you make your decision. That's it. It's just that simple. But like I said, that's what works for me. Right? That's what works for me. So you got to figure out what works for you. Try that out. See if that works for you. If that doesn't work for you, then, you know, look for different methods. Maybe you don't speak it out. Maybe you have to write it out. Me, I could write something down, but when I close that book, I close that book. I sometimes have a hard time reopening that book, because once it's closed, I'm like, okay, that's it. I got it all out for today. And I don't go back and open it. I literally just went back and read a lot of stuff that I wrote from 2021, like 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Maybe some people read their stuff back to them, but I don't do it. I can't. Like, if it's not in my face, it's not in my mind, like, for real. But when I'm talking to myself, it's totally different. because it's right here, it's right now, and I'm forced to answer the question. I can't ignore myself, because even when I try to ignore myself, it's like, oh, okay, so we're ignoring ourselves now? And I'm like, oh, come on, like, give me a break. You can't run for yourself. You can't run from yourself. You cannot. You know, like, cannot. So, like, I mean, you can, but you can't. You know what I mean? You could try, but you don't ever really do it. You may get the illusion of doing it, but it never really happens. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Don't settle. That has been the moral of today's session. Do not settle for anything. Know that you are capable and able to get whatever it is that you desire, regardless of what anybody else says. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you believe to be true. What matters is what you say about yourself. That is reality. That is what's real. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. I love you guys so much. The next episode will be coming out on Tuesday. And I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. Love you guys. Take care. Bye. And that's a wrap for today's Neo Self-Care adventure, my fabulous friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of self-love, empowerment, and all-around fabulousness. Remember, you are a force to be reckoned with, and your sparkle is unmatched. Keep slaying, keep shining, and most importantly, keep being unapologetically you. If you loved what you heard today, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the love with your fellow goddesses. Let's spread the Neo Self-Care magic far and wide. Until next time, my darlings, remember, your strength is limitless, your beauty is boundless, and your self-love journey is ever evolving. Keep blooming, keep thriving, and keep being the phenomenal soul that you are. This is Vashti Mea, your self-care confidant, signing off. Stay fabulous, stay fierce, and always keep it Neo. Catch you on the flip side, my loves.